So welcome to the Slackline Basics 2. Here I'm using a slackline experience of Slacktivity, which is in this case 15 meters long. So let's get started. First challenge is going to be to have one hand in your pocket for 5 seconds. And obviously you want to do that with the left hand, and when this works out also with the right hand. This exercise will really help you to be dependent on less extremities to balance. And if you feel really confident, you can also start walking with one hand in your pocket. And if you feel even more confident, obviously put both hands into your pocket. Second challenge is going to be bounce walking. Before you start bounce walking, just start bouncing a little bit, see how the line reacts. The longer the slackline is, the nicer it's going to bounce. Also, the more stretchy it is, for example, nylon lines, they bounce nicer than polyester lines. So now I start feeling a rhythm, and I can start, for example, taking a step every second bounce, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and go, and so on. If I feel more confident, it's time to take a step every single bounce. Bounce walking will give you a rhythm and will force you to take the step even though you're maybe not perfectly in balance. And this is actually good if you don't always wait for the perfect balance to appear before taking the step. So now it's time to sit with both feet on the line. You can either start with the front foot first, or most people actually start with the closer foot first and start balancing like that. And then it's not an all or nothing. You don't have to just pull up the leg, but you can try to lift this knee higher and higher until you have the necessary height to place the foot on the line. And here are a few limiting factors. I see most people who try to sit with a straight back. And if you have a straight back, it's going to be really hard to bring that knee up. Lean back a bit, have the back rounded, and then it's pretty easy to bring the front leg pretty up high. Just for the sitting position, you have 2 sit bones here. So you want to start on one of the sit bones and slide towards the middle. You can see it when I start sitting on the line. I sit down and it makes a little plop. And now I'm in the good position. The skin under your butt at the beginning is not used to that. So try every time 5 minutes or so, and you're going to get used to it pretty fast. So let's get started with the L-sit. It's going to look like this in the end. And I think you remember the shaking that you've had at the beginning when starting to stand on the line. Remember, it was a really nice effect. It feels uncontrolled and everything, but it's really the moment that stabilizes your joint. So embrace this moment. And what we're going to do now when starting to get into L-sit position is stabilizing your shoulders. So you can get started just with the feet on the ground first by pressing down the line. Here it's already going to shake a bit. Try not to press the arms towards your leg, but have it free hanging. And then when this works, still keep the feet hanging down. And when this also works, you can start to go into the real L-sit. The lower if the line is a bit higher up, it's going to make it easier, because otherwise if the ground is too close, you already have to lift your legs pretty high up. So if you have a bit of space below the line, it's way easier for the L-sit. Now it's time to stand up from sitting. You already learned the sitting position, and yeah, the sit mount really helps you to get up on higher lines, and you should already learn it on lower lines just to be on a safe position before starting to get a little higher up. And here it's important that the distance between your butt and the closer leg is as close as possible. If you try to pull the legs towards you, you can already decrease it a bit, but the better way to decrease this gap is by pulling your butt towards your feet. So you can try a few times, just put your feet towards the front and pull yourself towards the feet. And obviously it's also about flexibility in your knee. If you feel like the flexibility is limited, start stretching a bit. Now about the closer leg. The healthiest position if you have it straight. The easiest position for mounting is if it shows to the side. But here you're gonna have a torsion in your knee, so if you have knee problems, be careful with it. Maybe also take the other leg closer to you, or really go with the foot straight on the line. And don't do too many tries, give a few tries each day to really learn that motion in the end, but don't put in a 1-hour session on sit mounting, please. So, okay, now I want to lean backwards to get momentum and roll over my feet. It's important not to engage the feet too early. What's happening otherwise is that you like push yourself back. So keep your legs loose, and only now that you're between the feet, engage them and press yourself up. You can totally do the pre-exercise on the ground first, like sitting on the ground in this position, trying to get your feet first with little support on your butt. If you're flexible enough without the support, then go without the support. Every time it's gonna work a little better. Super important move to get stronger on slacklines. Now it's time to sand the entire line. Sanding means like walking the entire distance without falling. I'm not gonna do that here because otherwise I just walk out of the frame. If you manage to get to the end, I mean on the first time you manage, just grab the tree. But like the second or third time you manage, maybe you should turn around just before the tree and try to go for both sides of sanding. Next challenge, taking 10 steps backwards. Always try to feel the line with your toes. Shift the weight backwards, feel the line with your toes, shift the weight back, and so on. 10 steps is going to be the challenge on this level. Knee drops offer you a lot of possibilities for later on. There is many variations like double knee drop, inverted knee drop turns, and so on. But let's get started with the basics, with the normal knee drop. And there is no need to get started from feet on the first try. You can really get started from the ground, like by sitting on one of your feet. And before doing that, like there is the bone here, and the skin of the bone is the most painful place you can imagine. So you want to sit sideways so that your weight is actually on the muscle. It's going to be much more comfortable. It's still not going to be comfortable. Knee drops are not the nicest position for the feeling at the beginning, but you're going to love it once you master them. So I sit sideways on my foot. I really sit on the foot. I'm not like trying to lift anything right now. And I bring the second foot on the line. Only now I start dropping that knee down. So that's the knee drop position, and if you feel comfortable with it, you can try a knee drop mount, or also go from standing into that knee drop position. And just to show you like a double knee drop, for example, like there are many varieties about knee drops, or the inverted knee drop where the knee goes the other side, and the knee drop turn that are just saved here. You see, there are tons of variations, but here just try to go for the normal knee drop. Now it's time to stand in exposure. This is a position that is much easier on a longer or saggier slackline, but I'm shortly going to explain you the position. So far you've been balancing left, right. Now you're balancing front and back. This also means you don't want to like balance in this area anymore, but you want to take the arms to the front and balance here. You always do rotational movements around the slackline. And if you have your back straight, it's very easy to get the back overextended and to drop backwards. So ideally have somebody spotting you or a mattress behind you. And the basic position here is not with a straight back anymore, but like leaning a little bit to the front. So this is going to be the basic position for exposure, because this will allow you to move from here to here. And it's totally okay to almost touch the ground with your hands when balancing in exposure. Gonna show you one more time on the line. And to get started with the exposure, there is not an all or nothing, but you can start with like a straight position on the line, back foot to the side, shift your weight backwards, front foot also to the side, but my entire body is still like facing the end of the line. Then I open up the back knee. I'm still facing the tree there. I'm opening up the front knee, still facing the tree, and once I feel stable, I can take the back arm also to the front and end up in a real exposure position. Ideally have somebody check your position, because you often end up like in a semi-exposure where you're still halfway facing the tree. So try to be as much in exposure as you can possibly be, because it's a healthier position. You're not going to be one-sided anymore in the exposure position. So now it's time to turn. I'm going to show you once how this looks. It seems simple, but this is a pretty complex move. If you look at your feet, they are shaped a bit like this. So going from this position into this position is pretty easy, but like back is gonna be hard. So you always have to shift your weight a bit front and back on your feet to make the turn. So I'm gonna start like facing one tree, shift my weight a bit backwards so that I can turn the front foot. I'm gonna shift my weight towards the front foot so that my back foot is kind of free to move. And in a fast motion, I take my arms in and I extend them outwards again once I've turned. So I'm gonna show you that again. This was a slightly different version where I stopped a bit in exposure, like grab the version that you want, but shifting the weight is really important. So I hope you enjoyed watching these videos. If you did, grab a friend, go out to the park, exercise so that you're gonna get ready for more difficult tasks soon. And if you enjoy them, please also drop a like so that I'm motivated to continue with these videos. Thank you and see you soon.